That rotation has moved just north of Calhoun Falls right here. You can see that rotation clearly on our live Super Doppler 4, which gives us an instant look at where this storm is located right now. And you can see that rotation is going just like that in this location of Calhoun Falls. And this storm has been one that we've been watching just to the south near Mount Carmel, and it has shown signs of some strong strength in it, but now it is giving us some broad level circulation right here near Watts, Latimer, pushing up toward the north, north of Calhoun Falls right here. So let's give it a couple of different traces here using live Super Doppler 4 storm tracker. As it heads toward the north, it'll be near Westwood Elementary. If you know where that is, Buckstand, Dixie High School at about 8 o'clock, and then due west at about 7:59. So all of this moving quickly toward the north right here with this rotation that has been spawning up here across Abbeville. So this tornado warning right here goes until 8 o'clock. It does include all of Abbeville County right here from Calhoun Falls north. It does not include downtown Abbeville. So that's why you're not hearing the sirens east of Abbeville right there, but certainly for Calhoun Falls north toward Highway 71. That's where it's going to cross over next if it continues on its same path. There's about a dozen lightning strikes in this. This is a loud storm pushing off toward the north. It does include Antreville. It does include Buckstand. It does include Brownlee Crossroads. And just east of Lake Succession right there is where I expect the rotation to go as it moves off toward the north. So watching this closely, especially for you folks in Anderson County, if it were to continue, which it looks like in a weak situation like this where the rotation can go up and can go down, that we would have this threat at least push up toward the north. But right now you need to be seeking shelter in Abbeville County as this storm is moving at about 25 miles to the north right here. 25 miles per hour to the north, and right now it is located about 4 miles east of Lake Succession. So watching this closely for you folks there in Abbeville County. Again, that rotation is depicted on live Super Doppler 4. We're able to kind of slice in this storm. That green is the pronounced kind of dangerous part of it. That's where the rotation is going toward our radar site off of I-85. Now the red is where that rain is being detected is going away from the radar site. So right there is where you're getting that rotation, which is just north of Calhoun Falls right here. A couple of different things that we can track here on live Super Doppler 4 is the possibility of debris. Is there debris in this storm? And as we rewind this back just a little bit, we're able to see if there's anything that kind of forms out and gives us any kind of what we call reflectivity. That's the radar trying to depict whether it's rain, whether it's hail, or if there's damage in this, is there damage being lofted up into the sky that the radar would detect as being debris? And so far I'm not seeing any of that, but we do need to take this seriously as there is a radar indicated tornado warning here, which is over Abbeville County. This does include Antreville, does include parts of Buckstand, Lake Succession, and Lake Russell right here. This warning goes until 8 o'clock for Antreville. Now for you folks watching right now in Greenville County, for you folks watching in Spartanburg and Anderson, we're watching it very closely here as this activity is pushing toward the north at about 25 miles per hour. One of a numerous storms that are really quite feisty out of Georgia, wrapping around this low pressure. You see that low back toward Alabama and Tennessee. This is what's giving the wind energy here for any number of these storms to turn strong or turn severe, and in this case 60, 70 mile per hour winds. These are what we call situations where a brief quick tornado can touch down. In this case there's nothing going on over Greenville County, but just to the south toward Abbeville County, this is where that tornado warning is located here. Lots of wind associated with this, 60, 70 miles per hour. And as I turn on the velocity, that gives us that x-ray inside the storm. And in this case, as we map some of this wind speed out, you know, you've got a 40 mile per hour wind gust going toward our radar site, while going away from the radar site, you have about an 8 mile per hour wind. So that rotation there is what's giving us the possibility of a funnel or getting close to the ground, or a brief touchdown of a tornado. In these situations, you likely get an EF 0, 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. That's strong enough to bring down trees, folks. So please take note of your surroundings, of what's around you right now, and know that there could be a dangerous storm heading up toward the north right now. And as depicted on live Super Doppler 4, that is over Abbeville County. And we'll watch this closely for Anderson, for Pickens, for Greenville County, because there are other cells in and around this cell that need to be watched back through the south. And that's been the case today as we've been watching a number of these storms that have been quite feisty with some lightning and some heavy rain. all centering around this low pressure system that we've been watching that's given many of us a lot of rain today. And that's what we need to watch here is this warm sector of the storm. We got Athens, Georgia, rocked by some hail about an hour ago. This storm near Augusta is going to try to sweep in. So now through about 8, 9 o'clock, we have some feisty storms that are going to try to roll through the area here, of which could have some low end rotation like we have right now over Abbeville County. But I do like what I'm seeing. I'm cautiously optimistic here that that rotation is beginning to collapse. And in this storm, as you can see, that green and that red not as pronounced as it was when the National Weather Service issued that warning. So going back here, 7:17 is when this rotation started tightening up a little bit near Calhoun Falls. You see that brighter green, that brighter red. And again, watching that closely, that would indicate that winds in that time frame were on the order of about 30 miles per hour going toward the radar and about 17 miles per hour going away from it. Then as that storm moved toward the north of Latimer, that rotation became a lot more broad. Certainly some strong winds in and around Charleston Crossroads as those winds kind of expanded out. They started to gather at about 35, 40 miles per hour. As that storm continued toward the north, where we have a few more radar scans to get us through it near Watts, that's kind of where the storm sits right now. That rotation has become a lot more broad. It's not as tight of a circulation. So if there once was a tornado there, it looks like it's at least trying to lift back up and become a little more pronounced as a gusty wind maker, but not as a tight circulation or a tornado maker. We'll be watching this closely here on Live Super Doppler 4. In fact, let's turn that back on, zoom back down here through Abbeville County. Again, this tornado warning issued for Calhoun Falls northbound. They just kind of trimmed Calhoun Falls out of it. So if you're listening right now in Calhoun Falls, you're out of the warning. You can get out of your safe place. You can come back into your living room, wherever you need to be. But if you're still in Antroville, Lake Russell, you need to be seeking shelter right now as this tornado warning is heading north right now, close to that, as we watch that possibly here. Okay, watching it for Abbeville County. National Weather Service has this warning until 8 o'clock. Watching it very closely. This area has had a lot of lightning and a lot of heavy rainfall wrapped around this. So just in the past 12 hours, Abbeville County seems to have gotten just a lot of rain as this trail of storm activity has been rolling right over that area. And that's where we're watching right now for the potential of a brief spin-up tornado in and around Abbeville. And this area, as we look at the specific tornado risk here through the rest of the evening hours, Donalds, Greenwood, parts of Greenville and Spartanburg, all in the low level 1 risk for tornadoes as we go into the evening hours here. Watching that closely, as well as the severe weather risk that kind of expands out just a little bit further. But this area just kind of right there on the right side of this low pressure system where it's vulnerable or susceptible to rotation in this activity. And you can see that low very clearly on our satellite and radar cranking over Tennessee. That rotation around it is what's giving us the chance for brief spin-up tornado here across Abbeville, pushing toward the north here. So watching it very closely for you folks in Anderson County, because should it continue, you would be next in line for the potential of some brief rotation moving into eastern Anderson County. But right now, again, cautiously optimistic with what I'm seeing here is that this rotation is beginning to broaden out a little bit. You see that green and that red not as pronounced or not as tightly clustered together. Another scan coming by on Live Super Doppler 4. So thankful to have Live Super Doppler 4 on a night like this that helps us get through these storms and see these storms instantly. Where the green and the red are meeting, that's where you possibly have that rotation. And we get a new scan here every 30 seconds, which gives us that data to you instantly. No delay here with that, which is the beauty of Live Super Doppler 4. And again, watching some storms back through Augusta, Macon, Hilton Head. Those storms that are west of Hilton Head, south of Augusta, are trying to rotate into our area. So watching that, as well as this area that is back through northeast Georgia, very close to Rabun County, Stevens County. Those have been feisty storms. We had a big hail maker near Athens, Georgia, but so far those have been sub-severe, sub-dangerous levels. They've been certainly some strong storms, some gusty storms, but right now nothing is really standing out at being too wild back through northeast Georgia. The concern, the imminent danger right here is across Abbeville County near Antroville, north of downtown Abbeville, where that tornado warning continues in this area. Let's put a fresh storm track on it here for you. I'm going to edit my time frame here because I know that the storm is traveling at different speeds. My latest calculations have 30 mile per hour wind speeds on this, so let me edit that. Give us a fresh track on where this could be heading. I'll start tight, then I'll get in a little bit closer, and then I'll kind of zoom out and give you kind of all different perspectives here. So Brownlee Crossroads at 7:55, Fairs Crossroads at about 8:01, due west at 8:09, and then Kiwi, not Lake Kiwi, but Kiwi in Abbeville County at 8:15. Let's get in closer, kind of look at some areas a little bit more in the path of this. And again, I want to isolate that possible rotation, which looks to be between Calhoun Falls and Watts right now. That's where the rotation is being picked up on by that latest scan, a live Super Doppler 4. If we put a track on this activity just over the next probably 15 minutes, let's see where that gets us. Chapel School, Cypress Chapel, Rock Hill Church, and then Mount Clement Church by about 8:04. So kind of find a landmark or a bearing near you. That's where that storm is located, or where that rotation is the most pronounced right here. Now let's zoom out just a little bit more, a little bit further out, and kind of give you an idea as a new scan comes through. We'll turn on the radar yet again and give you a fresh track here across central Abbeville County. The same storm is moving off toward the north, and if it can hold together, this is not going to stay in its exact same fashion. Not saying there's going to be a tornado in Greenville, but the same cell will be near Greenville between 9 and 9:30 right here. National Weather Service here noting that the rotation has become more broad. They're not going to cancel the warning since it's under 10 minutes out, but they're going to be watching it. It will be allowed to expire at 8 o'clock. So some good news there is they're not seeing enough signals or evidence here in this storm to think that it's going to continue to intensify or be more of a rotating thunderstorm here than it was at its peak about 10-15 minutes ago. So that's the good news here, is that this storm does appear to be on its way back down from some rotation that was evident near Calhoun Falls. Please, folks, if you have seen any damage, or if you have seen that funnel cloud, because it's still daylight out, if you've seen it over Calhoun Falls or surrounding areas of Abbeville, please let us know so that we can pass the word along here. We really hope everybody's okay in Calhoun Falls and Abbeville County. Thankfully, right now, the wind gusts inside of this, while we have had some rotation, have been 40-45 miles per hour, and that rotation, thankfully, is becoming very less pronounced, which is certainly some good news there. Again, all of this a part of a storm system that will continue to feed us rain. Now, the severe threat, the tornado threat's not going to be all night long. We'll be watching it, of course, very closely on live Super Doppler 4. But right now, those storms that are rotating in are the peak of this, and then we get back into some more good old-fashioned rain where you hear the pitter-patter of some rain all night. That's very likely. In fact, a flood watch does continue for the southern and the eastern-facing slopes of the mountains right there in western North Carolina as this continues to stream on in. That line, that steady line that's from Abbeville south, does have a lot of heavy rain for it, and as it moves toward the north, we'll get several more inches of rain in some locations of Greenville, Pickens, Easley, Spartanburg, Greer, areas that have already seen about 2 inches today. You can add on about another inch to an inch and a half in some areas, but for the mountains are going to be the concerned areas where we could get an additional 3 inches through tomorrow morning with this line that's coming on through. The mountains just do their thing. They wring out that moisture. Thankfully, it's been steady enough today that this is really actually a good thing for the rain, because we're seeing it seep into the ground and help out with that drought condition, which has been so prevalent here lately. We're all under a level 1, level 2 drought. So good soaking rain like this is exactly what we needed. We just don't want to see the severe weather with it. And that's where we'll have to watch out for over the next couple of hours here. We do have a low level 1 risk of severe weather through the rest of the upstate into North Carolina. They are issuing a flood warning here for Avery, Burke, and Caldwell in McDowell County. So that's what's new right now, is the rain that is continuing in western North Carolina has become a little too persistent to where we're getting that flood advisory, flood warning here across Avery, Watauga, Burke, and McDowell counties there. Southern and eastern facing slopes of the mountains, as usual, are the problem. So this leading edge of this main kind of spoke of some rain coming into the area, you see it stretching all the way to the south right here. And this is what we're going to have to watch very closely. This little area right in here, as that line is prevalent, pushing up toward the north. That leading edge of it hits some different type of an air mass and began to rotate right there. Thankfully, it appeared that it was a brief rotation, and it has since come down. So Abbeville County, beyond the next few minutes, about 3 minutes, you're going to be out of this tornado warning and be all calm as far as rotation is concerned. Still some very heavy rainfall, and look at that, about a dozen some lightning strikes over you right now from Lounsville east through Watts, pushing up toward the north into northern Abbeville County, right along the Anderson County line as this moves up very, very quickly toward the north. Thankfully, as we've been watching this, there's not a big hail core with this. The hail in this storm has been about pea size in some locations. You see about 3/10 of an inch of hail size right there. That activity as depicted by live Super Doppler 4. Still certainly some feisty storms out of this back toward the south near Augusta. And this honestly is where the most prevalent storm fuel is located right now. So this is the area that has the highest available potential energy right here across northeast Georgia, Augusta area, and then pushing into our area. So it's at its prime right now. Once the sun goes down, of course, you lose some of that heat and the environment's just not as great. But we'll be watching it closely on live Super Doppler 4 in this southern part of the upstates where the action has been. Let's just turn on the reflectivity right now. Yep, not seeing anything that's standing out as being too far concerning as far as rotation is concerned. You got some heavy rain in Pickens County. You're watching right now saying, what's going on right now in Pumpkin Town or Travelers Rest? You see the word tornado at the top of your screen. I can understand the fear, the anxiety that can bring. But so far, it's been southern Abbeville County. It's been a very isolated area of Calhoun Falls. And so far, that rotation has since dissipated, and it is now a lot more of a broad rotation. In fact, I don't see it being existent at all over Abbeville at this point between Antroville and Abbeville. Certainly still a very strong storm as it's moving on through, but the good news is that as we get to the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be clear from this tornado warning and we'll be entering an environment that's a little bit more stable. Minute by minute, the atmosphere getting a little bit more stable as we work on through the rest of the evening here. But this activity here across Elbert, Abbeville, southern Anderson County has been the area that has been the most volatile. And as you can see here on live Super Doppler 4, this tornado warning issued for Abbeville County has been radar indicated. There's been enough rotation here to prompt the National Weather Service to issue that possible rotation over Abbeville County. And this warning does expire in about 60 seconds there at 8 o'clock. There has been some hail out of this. It's been about pea to marble size, sub 1 inch, but it's the gusty winds that could get up to 60 miles per hour and the possibility that some of that wind was rotating in a fashion for a brief weak tornado there in Calhoun Falls, northwest rather of Abbeville, about 4 miles east of Lake Succession, moving slowly at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. And that's one of many additional thunder showers that are going to roll through our area here into the evening hours, and we'll be watching them very closely on live Super Doppler 4. So another scan of live Super Doppler 4 to get us through here to 8 o'clock as we watch Anderson, Lawrence, Greenwood, Spartanburg, Greenville, Travelers Rest, and Pickens. Certainly some heavy rain, and I want you to know we'll be glued in on live Super Doppler 4 to watch any potential rotation that would crop up in this. But thankfully, with this latest evidence of our scans and the National Weather Service scans, they feel confident enough that they're going to drop this warning here in just a matter of a few seconds and watch this storm as it rolls off toward the north. Again, certainly some very heavy rain, some lightning, some thunder in some locations, but thankfully here, now that we're at 8 o'clock, this warning has been allowed to expire. Folks, we will stay on top of this using live Super Doppler 4 for you all evening, and as conditions warrant, we'll cut into programming. We'll send you back to programming.
Here we go.
Semifinals.
Top 12, baby.
Yeah!
Baby.
I made it to lives. I made it to lives.
I am so excited to be here.
4 Super Save artists are coming back.
Oh my God!
Now it's anybody's game.
Shut up.
America, now it's up to you. So I'm not a bad guy anymore, okay?
It's just in my nature to take it.